Get a cup, get a cup, get a cup. Hello. Welcome back, everyone, to another video on Fresh Cuts Limit. Today, we're looking at YouTube's Darkest Channels 7 by Nick Crowley. Now, it's been a little while since I reacted to a Nick Crowley video, but I really liked him. And yeah, with that being said, the original link's in the description, and let's begin.
Tell you what we're going to do today more than anything else. We're going to do this. Nice guy must die. Nice guy must die. Nice guy must die.
What? Nice guy must die.
This is my house from the street. Here is my car. This is a 2-bedroom brick ranch, conveniently located.
It's the final day of February 2008. A 47-year-old man living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, named George Sedini, publishes his very first video to YouTube under the channel MOS B46PGH.
His first video was doxing himself? That's crazy.
I paid $79,000 for this in
79?
1996. That's considered a lot.
It's probably worth like a lot more than that now.
Believe it or not.
The upload, titled How George Pittsburgh Lives, was almost like an old-school house tour of sorts, as George proudly displays the outside of his home, before then doing the same inside.
Open it up. Oh, someone left it unlocked. That's not good. Inside, okay. Pan to the other side.
Seemingly making a point of mentioning every minute feature in the otherwise dim and empty home.
Here's my big screen TV. It's my computer, couch and chair, they match. Dining room set, shoebox full of old pictures.
To anyone who may have stumbled upon
It's weird. Like, this, even the way he's going about this weird. It seems like he may have maybe a learning disorder, maybe? I don't know.
On this strange video, or Sedini's channel in general, back in 2008, it would likely come off as entirely uninteresting, and far from anything disturbing. However, to those who find it today, this couldn't be more different, as the account carries with it a layer of disturbing context due to the events that transpired after this first video was published. Events that have since transformed the MOS B46PGH page into one of YouTube's darkest channels.
Please meet every.
Are they still uploading videos? Like, the way he was talking about it, narrating everything, is just weird. And when I say he had like a learning disorder, I mean it seems it could be that he might be on the spectrum. I don't know though.
Every woman's
Do
dream.
something so she remembers your name.
Keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust. Be careful, is all I can say.
I'm gonna post this and see what comes back.
I'm sure most of you guys have heard about the TikTok ban at this point, and honestly, there's something about it that's been bothering me. You or I could do a simple Google search and for all that, but its number data response, as well as immediate action is
Little hallway, 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms. To the right is my bedroom.
Without any context, it's hard to know what the purpose of George
Look at that
Sedini's
old
first
style. Look at that old style computer monitor, man. Those are huge.
video was, if it even had one at all. The entire thing just felt so random. But within the footage itself was one clue that hints at the fact that George actually had a very specific reason for uploading this, with that clue coming in the form of a book on his coffee table.
Uh-oh.
Okay, come over here. There's some reading material that we're all.
What does that
familiar
say? Date young women for men over 33. It's weird, but a lot of men, you know, who are older definitely like to date younger women.
It was called How to Date Young Women for Men Over 35, which was about as creepy as it sounded.
It's weird, but it's like, it's nothing I'd say is criminal.
First guest today is a 51-year-old bachelor who says if you're a single woman over 30, you're a dating has-been. Please meet every woman's dream, Don Steele.
Have you done?
Its author, Don Steele, had made a living as a dating counselor and life coach, creating various books and programs that were geared towards socially awkward men, exploiting them with the promise that someday they'll be able to get the younger girl of their dreams, even after they reached middle adulthood, and all that they had to do was pay for his course, pay for the book, and dedicate themselves to becoming more desirable.
Oh, it's like the original freaking dating coach here. There were tons of these people who do this kind of stuff. What are they called, though? They go by a certain name. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Riz Magician. That's a good one, but that's more modern. But there are people who do this. Can't think of the name of what they go by, but there are people who do this where they're like, "Oh, I've kissed 1,000 women. Pay for my course." You know?
And George Sedini was the perfect target. Despite having a successful career as a systems analyst at a law firm, he struggled to maintain any relationships with the women that he met. It had been well over a decade since he last had a girlfriend, and despite desperately wanting one, George just seemed to lack the ability to connect with women on any level, even as just friends. And as his isolation began to grow...
I think that's a lot of men, though, because women and men are so, at least for a large portion, right? I don't want to generalize, but for a large portion, men and women are very different, at least in terms of interests. To be just friends is I think it's a totally different than to be in a relationship, kind of. You know, does that make sense? Because being friends with someone means you have a lot in common. Normally, when men become friends with women, it tends to lead to more than just friendship.
So too did his obsession with finding a girlfriend. George had nearly given up these pursuits too, until he was introduced to Don Steele's course, viewing the program as his last real shot at human connection, obsessively reading the book to the point that he was supposedly able to recite passages by memory alone. On top of this, he would also attend many of this supposed guru's in-person seminars, with some of his visits even being captured on camera and later posted onto Don Steele's YouTube channel.
It used to be down here. It was called a codpiece, and it's gradually over the years moved up here. So it's read like an erect you-know-what.
And it was in these courses where George...
Dog dick? When was this, 2008? Like, I don't think any of the dating apps were really a thing back then, so I guess maybe it would have been more difficult to find someone. You know, as long as you're dressing nice, you're taking care of how you look, you try to, you know, present yourself really well, and getting used to just talking to women, because if you're nervous, you know, get used to talking to them, just approach people and say something until you're used to it, right? I think anyone could really get a girlfriend or, you know, boyfriend if they cared enough and did the work. But if you're going to these dating gurus, you know... And I just don't think that's a good idea.
George was subjected to all sorts of bizarre and unsettling ideology.
Turn around here, look at me, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today more than anything else. We're going to do this. Nice guy must die.
But despite agreeing with this man wholeheartedly and following...
Oh no! This is the classic, you know, you gotta be an a-hole. You gotta treat women like trash. It's one of those kind of things, huh?
All of his work, George was still making very little progress, which was evident by the footage of him attending these seminars, as he appears incredibly nervous and kept mainly to himself. And so, recognizing that George had much to improve on, he was given an assignment by one of his instructors. He was told to film a video of his house, so that the instructors and everyone else in the class could see if he was really making himself and his environment desirable enough to any woman who might come over.
Okay, couch and chair, they match.
Is that why he's narrating it like this, then? I guess that kind of makes sense.
The women will really be impressed.
Knowing this, the footage feels so much lonelier, as it was almost like he was trying to sell his way of living as being good enough for a partner that he was really no closer to finding. There's something so depressing about it. And this wasn't his only video.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day. Take a long drive in the car, listen to some music, daydream, or just do some mundane task around the house that really doesn't need to be done, that's not too important. And there you go, one more day, and one more day turns into one more year.
Months later, on June 23rd, 2008, George would return with an upload he had filmed inside of his basement.
Is that where he keeps the woman? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. You know, your concept of yourself is very important to how your life is, because it's directly correlated. If you have it in your conscience and your awareness that you are lonely, unloved, no one's going to love you, there's no one there for you, if you can't find anyone, if you hold this and hold these thoughts in your mind and, you know, you truly believe that, then that is going to tend to be your reality. It's going to be very hard for you to find anyone if you are in the mindset of, no one will love me, no one cares about me. You know, your mindset and what you believe about yourself to be true is directly correlated with how your life goes.
And in it, we get more insight on just how severe his isolation had become, though he still held on to a sliver of optimism thanks to Don Steele's course.
Now, RDS says that I have approximately maybe 15 more years to be successful at this. And when I heard that, I wanted to continue immediately to start moving on this. I didn't realize I had that much time. So my objective is to be real and to learn to be emotional and to be able to emotionally connect with people.
Before he eventually...
See, the way he says that and the way he sounds there, to me at least, it seems like he may be on the spectrum. Especially if you aren't really that emotional or you don't know how to deal with emotions and stuff like that. That's definitely a symptom. Not that I'm a doctor, okay, but I know, like, I think Asperger's, that's a symptom of not being that emotional or not being able to recognize emotions and whatnot.
reverts back to talking about his uncanny desire to find a younger woman.
Because when I'm 10 to 20 years older than she is, she has to feel good about this thing.
Ending the video with hints of an uncertain future.
I'm going to post this and see what comes back.
He would never upload again. And soon after, it appears George gave up trying, essentially accepting his life of loneliness. But while this would be the last video made to his channel, he wouldn't leave the internet entirely. Soon after this final video was posted, a website was launched called GeorgeSedini.com, which served as a place for George to blog about his emotions. And while something like this could have been beneficial for him, this website would instead only serve to capture his descent into madness. An immediate red flag was raised by the very first text you see on the website, as George wrote, "Why do this? To young girls? Just read below. I kept a running log that includes my thoughts
Why do this to younger? Wait, did he turn into like a criminal or something?
and actions after I saw this project was going to drag on," with the line serving as some sort of bizarre disclaimer, though with no other context. George's entries began. December 22nd, 2008. Time is moving along. Plan to have this done already. I will just keep a running log here as time passes. Many of the young girls here look so beautiful as to not be human.
What?
Very edible. After joining this gym, started lifting weights and like it. This early post encapsulates what this blog would be focused on: young women he would see throughout the day, his time at the gym, and his plan. This plan was never expressly stated on the website, but it was something he obsessed over, mentioning it in every single one of his posts and dubbing it the exit plan, even going as far as to provide a date and time for it.
Oh, is this like a friggin', if he doesn't get a girlfriend by a certain date, then he's pulling a Kurt Cobain or whatever?
January 6th, 2009, at 8:15 p.m. Before this day would come, however, he would provide further insight into just how lonely he was. Moving into Christmas again. Last Christmas with Pam was in 1983. Who knows why? I'm not ugly or too weird. No sex since January 1990 either. I was 29. No shit. Over 18 years ago. I actually look good. I dress good. I'm clean shaven, bathe, touch of cologne. Yet 30 million women reject me.
That is a lie right there. That is a lie right. 30 million reject. No one rejected you. How many people did you actually approach and ask on a date? You're posting videos online. It's not equivalent to you going and, up to someone and asking for their number. If you did that 1,000 times, you'd probably get one person's number, and that's a horrible rate. That's a 0.0, I think, 1% of acceptance, right? Something like that. Like, that's a horrible acceptance rate. Let's say that you're attractive to 1% of the population. That would mean that out of 1,000 people, you're going to get 10 people's numbers. So out of 30 million, you're going to get, what's that, like, friggin', this is how many numbers he could have gotten if he actually approached, 30 million women and was attractive to only 1% of them. So right now, it shows you that he probably didn't actually try talking to that many people. Like, going to the courses isn't going to do anything if you aren't actually trying to communicate with people.
For an 18 or 25 year period. That's how I see it. 30 million is my rough guesstimate of how many desirable single women there are. With several other posts of the same nature, the day eventually came for his big exit plan, January 6th, with George writing one message that afternoon. I can do this. This log is not detailed. It is only for confidence to do this. The future holds even less than what I have today. It is 6:40 p.m., about an hour and a half to go. God have mercy. I wish life could have been better for all, and the crazy world can somehow run smoother. I wish I had answers. Bye. Despite this appearing to be his final post, George Sedini wasn't quite finished, as he would come back only hours later, writing simply, "It's 8:45 p.m. I chickened out. Shit."
Yeah, so he was gonna he's gonna try to off himself or something.
I brought the loaded guns, everything. Whatever George Sidini had been planning that day, it was clear that his exit plan was something incredibly disturbing. And based on his use of guns, plural, it was likely not just an exit plan for
Yeah, why? Yeah, that is weird that it would be guns. Why do you need multiple?
himself. But thankfully, he didn't go through with it. In fact, he seemed to have dropped the plan entirely, as months would go by without any update to his blog. Though this wouldn't last, as in April of 2009, he began posting yet again, with these entries being even more disturbing. July 23rd, 2009. Wow, I just looked out my front window and saw a beautiful college-age girl leave Bob's house, across the street. I guess he got a good lay today. College girls are hoes. I masturbate frequently. He is about
Yo, that was unneeded information. If you're trying to work on how you present yourself, you obviously haven't worked enough. It was a beautiful day today, man. I had like a nice breakfast too. Oh my goodness. I cranked off 4 times. Like, you see, like, that's so random that you would say this.
about 45 years old. She was long-haired, hot little hottie with a beautiful bod. I masturbate frequently.
Again?
The strangest part of this entire website was, according to those he worked with and the neighbors, they all thought George was normal. A little off, sure, but it appeared that these disturbing thoughts and plans were kept solely in his blog and solely in his mind. But on July 28th, 2009, this would all change. George had boarded a Port Authority bus that day and took a seat, carrying with him some sort of duffel bag, and as the ride commenced, he unzipped the bag and began to fiddle with something inside of it. An anonymous man sitting next to him noticed this and curiously leaned over to see what he was doing. In George Sidini's hand was what appeared to be a grenade. The stunned passenger ran off at the next stop and immediately alerted the police, but bizarrely, nothing actually came of this. No explosions happened.
You wouldn't notify the bus driver? You just like, screw everyone on this bus, screw you.
That day, and upon police eventually tracking down Sidini 2 days later, he was searched, but there was no sign of this supposed grenade, and the man who had reported this incident was unable to positively identify him. And so, George was released, allowing him to continue on with his day, and to continue on with his posting. August 3rd, 2009. I took off today, Monday, and tomorrow to practice my routine and make sure it was well polished. I need to work out every detail. There is only one shot. Also,
he's gonna do something crazy. This is building up to him doing something crazy.
So I need to be completely immersed into something before I can be successful. I haven't had a drink since Friday at about 2:30. Total effort needed. Tomorrow is the big day. Last time I tried this in January, I chickened out. Let's see how this new approach works. Maybe soon I will see God and Jesus. This was the final update made to GeorgeSidini.com, and unlike his previous attempt at carrying out this exit plan, this time, he didn't back out.
Uh-oh, here we go.
On August 4th, 2009, George Sidini would enter an LA Fitness in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, and walk directly into a woman's aerobics class, with a duffel bag in his hand. He then dropped his bag on the floor with a loud bang, before he closed the door and shut off all the lights. In a moment of darkness and confusion, one witness recalled that she felt the presence of someone who didn't belong there. Before total panic would ensue, everyone was just screaming so loud. At first, I didn't even think shots were being fired. It was so surreal. At that moment, George Sidini had brandished 2 guns from his bag and opened fire on the group of 30, all of whom were—
Oh, he went friggin' nuts.
Entirely the point. In that dark, cramped room, George would discharge his weapon 52 times. Of the injured, 49-year-old Elizabeth Gannon, 38-year-old Jody Billingsley, and 46-year-old Heidi Overmeyer would tragically lose their lives, while
I'm gonna try to censor their faces. I don't know if it'd be respectful to keep it in here.
the others were left with permanent injuries, both physical and mental. It wasn't hard to find a motive. George had spelled it out right there in his blog. He desired women so much that his inability to ever gain a real connection with any of them turned his infatuation into pure hatred. I masturbate frequently.
I really wish we had more information regarding how many people he approached, how many times he talked to women. Because, as I said, if only 1% of people found you attractive, which means that you're ugly to 99% of the population, which he's not that ugly. So he's definitely not in the 1% there. But if he was only attractive to 1% of people, out of 1,000 people, he would still get 10 individuals' numbers. So Like, how many people did he approach within all those years? Because if you're doing it constantly, and after a while, any rejection, it doesn't mean anything to you. Because you're like, well, this is a numbers game. That means the next person, there's a chance that they're going to say yes. It's just numbers. But in his mind, he probably, I doubt he even approached that many. He might have done a couple, got the rejection, and that was it. And then decided to, you know, just think that people are going to come up to him or something, right? Like, I wish we had more information.
This is how he wanted to make them pay. And the ironic part is that this was all so avoidable, as these plans were heavily implied on his website, which had been publicly available online for roughly an entire year, yet no one cared enough about him to ever look.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day.
Knowing what we know now, George's channel is highly disturbing, as it shows us a glimpse into a mind on the verge of completely snapping, and a last gasp attempt at achieving normalcy by a person who would go on to become a monster when he didn't get what he wanted.
Just everything I need. Well, that about sums it up.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis. Just having a little drink.
What is this? Oh no, we're on to a different one now.
Mark
Oh boy.
Williams always dreamed of being a YouTuber. He had grown up watching parkour content on the site, becoming attached to both its many talented creators and the hobby itself, eventually becoming so inspired by it that he launched his own channel in 2019, at the age of just 15, with Mark hoping that
Is this him in a jumpsuit? Like a prison suit? Oh no.
someday this channel would make that dream of his come true. The page went by many names over the years, but eventually Mark would settle on the moniker Displace, and depending on who you ask, his videos were either extremely impressive or extremely irresponsible. They showed scenes of Mark high atop buildings, jumping rooftop to rooftop.
Yeah, free runners do that kind of crazy stuff. Definitely not that. I don't see how that's a good idea, posting that to YouTube. Yeah, like, I know it was big years ago, but I don't know how you would be able to, like, or think you could run a huge YouTube channel on just free running. Unless you have to be doing crazy crap and always trying to, like, you know, outdo yourself.
Climbing on massive abandoned cranes, and fleeing from security guards and the cops on more than a few occasions.
Police are on the way already now.
I mean, that is content, I guess, that people would like.
They'll catch me then, won't they?
Gotta go fast!
Often seen with him was his younger brother, who he had grown incredibly close with, which was due in part to the fact that Mark was somewhat of a loner and didn't have many friends in his own personal life. Though according to his mother, this wasn't necessarily by choice, as she explained that he did desperately want friendship, and he was incredibly caring, he just had a habit of making the wrong friends, describing Mark as trusting to a fault. Mark's longing for camaraderie became especially apparent not long after the launch of Displace, as his brother slowly began appearing less and less in his videos, forcing him to do these free runs by himself, which he implied was something he didn't enjoy nearly as much.
My brother, who was part of the channel, Ben, he's not now. I don't think he's coming back at all. He ditched me, leaving me by myself, and I've got a problem with talking to myself as well.
This, coupled with the fact that he was dealing with the tribulations of growing up, led to his uploads on the channel becoming more and more sporadic, as he would often go dark for a few months, only to return with the promise of more consistent uploads.
Alright guys, don't know if you can see me or not, but I promise you Displace is coming back.
That often never came. It was clear that he still longed to be a YouTuber, he just needed some sort of a spark.
A change of content, I would say. Like, the free running stuff is, you know, cooler when you're younger, but as you get older and whatnot, it's definitely harder, I guess, physically, as well as, like, if you're just free running, jumping from one building to the other. I mean, how cool is that to see that 1,000 times? I wouldn't say it is. You see it once, it's like, okay, the next time you gotta, like, outdo yourself. You gotta do better. You gotta make it a little more cool. That, I don't think, is sustainable for a YouTube channel, especially if it's something physical like this. At least that's in my opinion.
And sure enough, at the end of 2020, he would find one right in his own comment section. In a since-deleted video, Mark would receive a comment from a man named Lewis Ashdown, who explained that he was a big fan of Mark's content and that he would love to join him in an upcoming video, as they both just so happened to live in Uckfield. It was exactly what Mark had been needing, a friend. And not only a friend, but a friend he could make videos with. And so that's exactly what he would do.
Hi guys, I'm back here with Lewis. And we're going to do the water treatment facility in Uckfield on the industrial estate. See you in a sec, guys.
From their first meeting on, Lewis became a core part of the Displaced channel, leading to the two growing closer by the day, with Mark speaking about this bond on a live stream in March of 2021.
If you're going exploring at an
2021. That's not that long ago.
Random pub. Yeah, keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust, you know, and be careful is all I can say. Because in the video where me and Lewis climbed the college, you know, I was constantly looking out for him because he did get dangerously close to some of the edges, but you know, that's what life's about, isn't it?
But despite finding his new parkour partner, Mark
I mean, how well do you know this guy? Meeting up with people from the internet is never a great idea, especially when you don't know them. Even like if you go on a date, you're supposed to meet in public, right? So you get to know the person, not just, I don't know, doesn't seem like something I would be doing.
still had other issues getting in the way of his uploads, as he was now 18 years old and was facing the reality of having to get a job, forcing him to put his channel on the back burner. Mark discussed this struggle and the many others he was facing at the time in that same March livestream, with his tone about Displace's future sounding less than optimistic.
I've been doing some talking with Lewis, seeming like he wants to get back into climbing and stuff. I haven't actually done it since Christmas, and I've got a bad back. It's been getting worse and worse lately. Don't know why. I need to go to the hospital and have myself checked out. I am not sure where my channel is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these videos. I don't know if I'm going to be doing different videos, or whether I'm going to stop completely.
But unlike other times when he had gotten down on his channel, this time he wasn't alone, and his friend Lewis was there to have his back, as he pushed Mark to continue his work, even showing up in the comments of this livestream under the name Moral Unknown, where he went as far as to offer up a potential location that they could film their next video in order to get Mark re-inspired. Will do Buxted Hotel first video back? And sure enough, just days later, the two would arrive at Buxted Hotel to begin filming yet another video.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis. Just having a little drink.
This would be their last on the Displaced channel, as not even 2 months after it was uploaded, both Mark Williams and Lewis Ashdown would vanish without a trace.
At the beginning, it showed, you know, him in like the orange suit, which means, at least to me, it looks like he may be in jail. So what happened? What the frig happened? And it probably happened on this, you know, that day.
It was the waning hours of Saturday, May 29th, 2021. Mark met Lewis at the Maresfield Recreation Ground to have a few drinks and discuss their next potential video. Though once there, it was the drinks that took priority, and very quickly Mark had become intoxicated, leading to him calling his house to tell his aunt, who he had been living with, that he would be heading back now. On the call, his aunt could tell that he was drunk, but...
So don't tell me they went free running while you know, intoxicated. That is a recipe for disaster.
Lewis chimed in to assure her not to worry, telling her, "I'll get him home safe," which made his aunt feel slightly better. After all, it was only a short few-minute walk back to the house anyway. Instead, 12 hours would pass, and Mark still hadn't made it back, while Lewis himself also failed to arrive home. At some point during their short walk back, both boys had disappeared.
Must have tried to walk back on rooftops or something.
They were reported as missing the very next morning, and the area they were last in was combed thoroughly, though very little was uncovered. Around them had been large pockets of forest and murky bodies of water, leading to some questioning if perhaps the boys had gotten lost, or even had fallen into the water. Though regardless of the theories, as a full 24 hours passed, many began to fear the worst, until something strange happened. Reports began pouring in from witnesses claiming to have seen Lewis. Some thought they saw him leaving a local pub the morning after he supposedly had gone missing, while others had seen him at a local movie theater, seemingly completely unaware that the whole town was looking for him.
How big is the town that they were in? Is it like a city or like a little tiny town where everyone knows each other?
These sightings introduced the possibility that the boys were perhaps runaways, causing several pleas to be made throughout the press, begging them to come back home. But it would be the police who would find Lewis first, tracking him down at his friend named Liam Hansen's house. There, the cops fired off a barrage of questions, as they not only tried to get answers as to where the boys had been, but more importantly now, they needed to know where Mark was. Throughout all the sightings, it was only ever Lewis that had been spotted, and even now, after searching this friend's home...
See, is he in a jumpsuit here? What is this? Or is this like just a normal orange shirt?
Mark wasn't there either. So where had Mark Williams gone? Well, Lewis himself offered very little, outright refusing to speak on the boy's whereabouts, but his
see, you didn't know this person. What did he do? What did he do?
Friend Liam wasn't so quiet, as when he was questioned separately, he claimed to know exactly what had happened on the night of May 29th.
Wait, was Liam the one that was... Which one was Which one was the one that he met up? Was that Liam or was that someone else?
2021, the day in which both boys had disappeared. And he knew because Lewis had told him.
Oh, okay.
According to the boy, the night that Lewis and Mark had met at the park, Lewis poured a cocktail for his friend, and then another, each one stronger than the last, causing Mark to become drunk almost immediately. Realizing he was drinking too much, Mark told Lewis that he had enough, but Lewis persisted, outright demanding that he keep drinking.
He was up to no good. This is why you don't meet people online.
Leading to Mark begging Lewis to let him stop. At one point, Mark's pleas finally caused Lewis to back off, as the boy instead agreed to make him a non-alcoholic drink, only for him to fill the cup with even more liquor when Mark wasn't looking.
Like, what was his intention behind that? Obviously, it's no good. There was nothing good about that.
By 11:30, Mark could barely stand, prompting him to make that phone call to his aunt, letting her know that he would be back soon. Meanwhile, Lewis had been so preoccupied with getting his friend drunk that he was still fairly sober at this point, and in his sober state, he promised Mark's aunt that he would get him home safe. Seconds after that phone call ended, Mark hunched over to vomit, which is precisely when Lewis pulled a large kitchen knife from his pocket and plunged it directly into Mark's back.
Talk about stabbing your friend in the back. Holy crap. What? This is why you don't meet people. You don't just randomly meet people who decide to who say something in your comments. You know, like that seems. And if you are, you got to meet them in public. You got to get to know them. Like, you don't know what their motive is. And this is a great example of that. Crazy people are out there. Got to be safe.
Mark stumbled and asked Lewis to call him an ambulance, being unable to comprehend what had just happened. To which Lewis responded by laughing, before doing it again, and again, and again. This is what Lewis had told Liam in the days after the alleged attack, but as Liam recounted the story to the police, he made it clear that this wasn't just a tall tale, as he had actually seen it for himself.
What?
When Lewis had told him the story, he pulled out his phone and put it up to Liam's face, revealing that he had filmed the entire ordeal. And sure enough, when police searched Lewis's devices, they would find that footage, though it was far worse than they ever could have imagined. On Lewis Ashdown's cell phone were 7 total videos depicting the attack, with the footage spanning nearly an hour in total, during which Mark had been stabbed 107 times, on top of having
People are freaking evil. Like, it's crazy.
a number of other sadistic things done to him. And all the while, it was said that Lewis was giggling manically. When asked about what he had seen in those recordings, Liam provided further detail on just how awful the attack was, recounting that he ripped Mark's eyes out. Proper psychotic stuff. I was going into shock. I was shocked how he came out with it. I wanted to run and tell someone. This was clear.
That's friggin' so evil. Hopefully this person is in jail now. However, if this is taking place in England, he's probably got a lighter sentence than someone who just said something not nice online. Because over there, if you say something not nice, you get in trouble more than committing a crime.
Clearly not a normal crime. It displayed a level of evil and hatred that goes past human comprehension, and due to its brutality, police assumed that surely something must have happened between these two to breed so much hatred inside of Lewis. But according to Lewis, this wasn't actually the case. Instead, he stated that he had simply found Mark to be annoying, and that he had been wanting to kill him for some time because of this, and had just been waiting for the right moment.
Maybe just don't hang out with people you don't like.
Plus, he always wanted to know what it was like to kill someone. And that was it. That was his entire motive. Lewis Ashdown would be arrested the day he was found, and later sentenced to life in prison.
Oh, finally. That's really good to hear that he's... Lock him away. He can go and deal with the other crazies in prison. He'll be in there right beside someone who said a mean thing online.
Eligibility in 25 years, while Mark's body was found dumped in a nearby body of water, and eventually given a proper burial.
Hi guys, I'm back here with Lewis, and we're going to do the water treatment facility.
With this context, Mark's channel is utterly devastating. All he wanted was a friend to film videos with. But sure enough, as his mother had warned, he was trusting to a fault.
If you're going exploring at an abandoned pub, yeah, keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust, you know, and be careful.
Which brings us to a disturbing revelation. Just months before he would kill Mark, Lewis was the one that encouraged him to get back out there and film with him. And based on his testimony that he had been wanting to kill Mark for a long time, it makes it very clear that he was doing this
as a way to do it.
Not to be a good friend, but to get Mark alone in an isolated spot so that he could carry out his plan. And adding more weight to this theory, when they visited the Buxted Hotel, which Lewis himself had suggested during the livestream, Mark was uncharacteristically drunk.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis.
As I'm editing this, I can't help but wonder, how did Lewis here think he was going to get away with it? Because, you know, he was in the phone call talking to Mark's aunt, saying that he would take him home. So he would have been the last person to see him alive. So there's that. The second thing is that it's not like he even went to hiding or anything like that, or tried to come up with a story to kind of explain what happened. He just went to the pub, you know, the day after. It's like, how did he think he was going to get away with it? You're the last person to see him alive. He then wouldn't answer any questions or have a story to what happened, you know, when the police interrogated him. Like, clearly he's guilty, and he didn't even, like, try to hide it. It's like he almost wanted to get caught or didn't care.
Having a little drink. Okay, so we'll smash this after we smash these.
Which was never really part of his channel before that upload. And Lewis was uncharacteristically nervous.
We're going to do a couple more bangers. Can't tell you what they are in case anyone's watching that shouldn't be watching. Who's watching? Well, no, I mean watching the videos, because I know that the police do watch my channel sometimes.
Paranoid even of being caught by the cops, despite being totally unfazed in previous videos.
If he was paranoid, why would he go tell someone and then show them the video of him doing all the horrible crimes? Obviously, he must have not been that paranoid.
Where in some, he was literally being chased by security guards. And coincidentally, by the end of this video, we get an indication as to why Lewis was so nervous.
Oh, that's right. You can't, I don't think you can have knives over there. Oi, bruv, what's that? You said something mean on Twitter? That's a year in the jail for you. And what's that? A butter knife? Make it 2 years.
Because he had been carrying a knife. All this leads me to believe that that night, Lewis pushed Mark to film a video in an abandoned location, then got him drunk, and was going to carry through with the murder, before eventually backing out for unknown reasons. And all the while, Mark was completely unaware, never once suspecting that the man he had been filming with had secretly been plotting to kill him, and one day would actually go through with it.
Okay, I'll wrap it up now then, guys.
See, this is why I have trust problems. Not to, you know, bring this around to myself, but like I have trust problems, and this kind of crap just goes to justify them.
Yep, I'll see ya.
I'm gonna try and stay on this side and go across. Well, this should be quite amusing.
All right, I think we're on to the next one now.
Joshua Brown started his YouTube channel back in 2010, a time when many individuals, including himself, used the site to upload random videos offering momentary glimpses into their lives. Joshua was in his mid-30s at the time and had recently finished serving in the Navy, before eventually settling down in Canton, Ohio, where he focused on his many passions. He loved driving, he loved technology, and he loved a little bit of danger. And soon, he became infatuated with a product that was essentially the sum of all three.
He loved driving, he loved living on the edge, he loved danger, and so he found something that kind of encapsulates all of them. Like drunk driving? I don't recommend that.
For Joshua, these electric vehicles were a technological marvel and the future of the automotive industry, and he dreamed of one day having one, with that dream eventually coming true in 2015 when he would purchase his very own Tesla Model S that would eventually become his life and his YouTube channel's primary focus. He began uploading videos of his new car immediately, but rather than these focusing on the vehicle itself, it was its most controversial feature that interested him the most: autopilot. The feature had become available for Tesla drivers in October of 2015.
Really? That's how long that's been out for? What? I thought it was like maybe 2020 or something. I didn't realize that's 10 years ago.
Which is exactly when Joshua purchased his car and began uploading these videos showcasing its possibilities.
It takes all the stress out of it. Get to your destination slightly slower, but hey, at least now you don't have to worry about anything. It's just...
So I've heard that they've had, you know, some problems. I don't think 2015, I would have trusted the autopilot. If they have it nowadays, it's probably more accurate, I think, because it's been able to train off of so much data since then. But when it just came out, nah, I would not have trusted that.
Just let it go.
He wanted to essentially be a pioneer, providing an overview of what self-driving was really all about, breaking down the specifics and showcasing a variety of unique situations that you might find yourself in if you were to use this driving mode yourself.
This section in here is going to be very, very difficult for the car to handle. We're filming this just so that you can see scenarios where the car does not do well, so that you've got something to judge off of it when you're driving on your own.
Let's hope there's no little kids in the road.
And he tried to make a point of doing so safely, as he never used the camera behind the wheel, and always had someone helping him to avoid any accidents. But despite his focus on safety, it was clear that he was pushing the capabilities of this brand new technology, as at this point it was still in its infancy, with one of the more glaring red flags being the placement of his hands.
Here we are, stop and go traffic on 271, and geez, car's doing it all itself.
When Joshua was shown driving, he hardly ever had his hands on the wheel, as he said he wanted to get—
He's way too faithful in the technology for 2015. Like, I'm not that faithful at all. Like, I think since then, the progress that AI has had has been crazy, and I think nowadays I would be more trusting. But back then, I would say it's more foolish to trust it, you know, as it just came out. It's new technology.
The true experience of self-driving. This was something that Tesla had actually adamantly advised against, and even had visual and audible warnings if it detected that your hands were off the steering wheel. But Joshua seemed to find a workaround, as he instead used his legs to avoid tripping the sensor, while keeping his hands close by, ready to grab the wheel in case of an emergency.
How I actually do it is so that it is really actually hands-free, is I keep my knees up, because the tack works pretty good, but I can still get my foot down to a brake, and just keep it like this, because you can react so quickly.
It was clear that Joshua truly believed that this car that was driving him was safe, and this belief was only strengthened.
Oh no, are you telling me something happens in his, you know, as he's filming or because of this car?
On April 5th of 2016. That day, Joshua had been driving his car on the interstate when a large truck suddenly merged into his lane, with its driver not even seeing his car. And before Joshua could even react, the autopilot kicked in and veered out of the way, avoiding what would have been a certain collision. Amazed by the event, Joshua would upload dashcam footage of the close call to his YouTube channel, where he praised the vehicle's response. "Tessie did great. Excellent job, Elon." This video would immediately go viral, exploding to over 4 million views between the two versions that Joshua had posted. But while the response to this video was overwhelming, especially for a channel that was accustomed to getting just a few hundred views, there was one response in particular that impacted Joshua the most. As Tesla's owner, Elon Musk, would repost the video on Twitter. Stunned by the tweet, Joshua would later state, "For something to catch Elon Musk's eye, I can die and go to heaven now." He had no way of knowing then, but this would not be the last time that Elon Musk would tweet about him, though his next feature would be under much different circumstances.
Oh no. I think I know where this is going. I don't want to spoil it, but I think we all know where this is going and what this is leading up to. Considering the nature of the other two videos featured in here, I think we all know. Yep, there we go.
It happened just 1 month after Joshua Brown's video had gone viral. He was driving on Highway 27 on a clear sunny day at approximately 4 p.m. With open road ahead, Joshua turned on his trusted autopilot, and it stayed in autopilot mode for over half an hour, as at this point, his trust in the car was higher than ever, causing Joshua to seemingly lose focus on the road, as he was quickly coming up on an intersection where a massive 18-wheeler had been turning left, blocking Joshua's entire lane. Joshua was seemingly so unfocused that he didn't even notice it. Even stranger, the car itself didn't detect this either, despite the
car didn't detect a pickup truck. No, that's not a pickup truck. The car didn't detect like an 18-wheeler. I've heard that they had issues at one point. I don't know how accurate this is. I heard that they had issues with like small children and detecting that. But an 18-wheeler, how do you not detect that?
Entire trailer being horizontal in their lane. This was due to its pure white body, as the sun was shining so brightly against it that, for whatever reason, it became invisible to the self-driving AI.
Oh, that's
and with
weird.
neither Joshua—
I thought the AI was running off of like sonar or something, where it could detect everything off of that. Is it just using a camera and then AI to try to spot stuff in the camera?
nor the car registering the danger that they were in, the vehicle would strike the trailer, going 74 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah, you ain't getting
There were
through
no
that.
attempts by Joshua to even move the steering wheel, and the brakes hadn't so much as been tapped. The collision happened at full speed, and it happened so fast that the car drove straight through underneath, shearing the entire top of the vehicle off, and continuing driving full speed down the road, before it would eventually crash to a halt. When the driver of the truck rushed over to see the damage, Joshua Brown was already dead, and the truck driver could hear nothing but the sound of Harry Potter.
You can own it on DVD and video.
What?
The adventure is bigger. The magic is stronger.
He was watching Harry Potter while driving?
Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Discovered in Joshua Brown's car was a DVD player, which many believe Joshua had used to watch Harry Potter while on that drive, thus explaining why he never reacted to the impending collision.
I guess that makes sense. I would hope at this point that the technology in these vehicles is better than when this happened, because it's had a lot of time to, to train. I wonder if it could catch it now. I'm thinking it probably could, but I don't know.
Now, this is something that has been disputed by his family, and ultimately it doesn't seem to have been fully proven or disproven. But in the end, the fault of the accident was placed mainly on the driver of the truck, who had made that left turn, and Joshua Brown, who had failed to pay attention to the road, as it was revealed that during his 37-minute drive, he only had his hands on the wheel for just 25 total seconds.
What?
Joshua Brown always wanted to be part of the innovation of Tesla's autopilot, and in doing so, he wrote himself into the history books as being the first person to ever perish in a self-driving accident.
So in a weird, twisted way, he kind of got his wish. In a weird way, not a good way.
And while this is no doubt a tragedy, his death has led to numerous safety improvements and a better understanding of the self-driving technology that he had given his life to study.
That's sad, but at least, maybe there was something good to come out of that, which is safer technology, which will save other people. But, it's definitely quite a sacrifice for that technology gain, or technological gain. Anyway, I hope you guys like this. This was freaking dark, dude. As always per Nick's videos, so I'm not, at this point, I'm not surprised. But, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up and all that. I'll see you guys next time.
Could you not?